Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Podcasts everywhere, Facebook Live, YouTube, and talklawradio.com. During our third segment, I like to talk about the sinners and saints. You might remember Martin Luther, the theologian who nailed his 95 Thesis to the church door in 1517, said, "The saints are sinners too, but they are forgiven and absolved." And so in this third segment, we're going to talk about the saints and sinners of leaving a legacy. Okay. What a bad legacy would be one of chaos, right?
Yep.
And so I recently heard in the news about a person who left a legacy of chaos. You remember Aretha Franklin?
Yes. Very good singer. Yeah.
Well, they found a will folded up in the couch cushions.
Wow.
It was handwritten, and it caused two of her sons. I don't know how many sons she had, but the article I read was just talking about these two sons that were fighting over who should be executor because there was another will.
Oh, wow.
And so I guess each will had named a different person to be executor.
Wow. That's crazy.
So I would call her a sinner.
Yep.
for not having a will prepared by an attorney that's legally enforceable and tries to reduce family conflict.
Definitely. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah, I always try and help our clients tax efficiently protect and preserve assets, reduce family conflict, and maximize whatever benefits we can get for them.
Definitely.
I wanted you to talk about what are some ways of leaving a legacy. You mentioned life insurance before.
Yeah. I think a great part about life insurance, right now I think Index Universal Life, IUL, is trending. But I think a good part about it is that you pass money tax-free. The death benefit, if you use as a death benefit, is tax-free.
We'll talk about some of the structural components of a universal life insurance policy.
Yep. So I'm just going to kind of talk of it relative to term and whole life.
Yeah.
So term is the cheapest. It's just pure death benefit meant to protect your family. So you can get $2 million, $3 million for very cheap. So if you can't work, it just protects that income that you would lose if you passed away. Index universal life and variable life is where you take that term and you make an annual renewable term. Because you're getting older, it becomes more expensive each year. So sometimes you can run into trouble if you're not overfunding it, if you're like 70, 80, because then the cost of insurance is way up. But it takes the extra money that you put into it and it puts it into an index and it gets credited and grows over time based on the index, like S&P 500 or Dow Jones, things like that.
So if the market is doing well, then the value of your policy is going up.
Yep, and it doesn't lose money if the market goes down. So it's kind of like, but there's a little bit of a cap too they'll sometimes put on it. So that's great if you overfund it because you could take that cash value tax-free, loan it to yourself, use it for money. Whole life is more expensive, but it's just straight up guaranteed if you pay it for the 10 years, 20 years, or for the life of the policy, you will have a death benefit with the cash value. And then it usually has a guaranteed dividend as well.
And so the cash value you can borrow against, right?
Yep. People like to borrow against them. So you can see if you get that for a kid, grows over their lifetime. When they're 18, when they're 22, they could take that money out.
And that just reduces the death benefit if you don't pay it back, right?
Yep. It's just like a loan, and then you can just pay it back or not pay it back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned tax-free. How is that?
Basically, if you loan the money to yourself, there's no taxation on it.
Because it's not income.
It's a loan, yeah.
Right.
Just like a lot of wealthy people, they'll do collateral. They'll use their stock portfolio. Say you have a $5 million stock portfolio. They'll use it as collateral, get a loan, and that's tax-free as well. And then they'll live off that.
But you have to pay interest.
That's the only thing is the interest, yeah. but it's lower because it's collateralized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the features of a whole life policy?
Features of a whole life are you get dividends and it's truly permanent. So sometimes I see issues with IULs. I've seen this a lot when I used to work at companies in the past like MetLife, Mass Mutual. And as you get to be 80 years old, that annual renewable term portion of it, because it's kind of like a hybrid of permanent and term, starts becoming more expensive. The cost of insurance isn't $40 a month anymore. Now it's a higher number. So when you keep paying $40 a month and you don't update it over time, you don't maintain it with your insurance broker, your financial planner, there's a chance that it could start running out of money. So I say if you're going to use IUL, again, you need to know the purpose of why you're doing it, like you were talking about, and make sure that you're acting in accordance with that purpose. If you want to overfund it for tax-free money, overfund it, make sure it lasts till age 100, 120. Or get whole life if you want to be very safe with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so with your financial planning business, do you sell these policies or how does that work?
So we only charge, like I said, for the, what's it called? The financial plan, the financial strategy. So we don't like to sell financial products because we personally believe I believe that's a conflict of interest, even though I know someone has to sell it. So we'll work with independent insurance brokers and to come up with the best solution based on their financial strategy.
And are some insurance companies better than others?
I believe so. I would search with one that's a big company. So I like the big companies. You can look at their ratings as well. They have ratings. And I like mutual companies. So it's for the benefit of the policyholders. And a lot of times, they'll pay higher dividends. Basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
On their whole lives. Yeah.
I thought of another type of legacy, which I call social capital legacy. People that want to give back not only to their family, but to the community somehow, or to their alma mater, the college or university that they went to. And it reminded me of this story that I heard just through the grapevine about how an old farming couple wanted to donate money to Harvard.
Yeah.
Have you heard this story?
I've never heard it. Sounds
Oh,
interesting.
okay. So they show up at the annual giving office at Harvard in their overalls because they're farmers. And the executive there doesn't want to meet with them because they look like they're poor. And so they leave that office and they say, well, if this university won't accept our money, then we'll start our own university. And that became Stanford.
Wow.
That's the story. I recently learned that it's false.
Oh, that's a cool story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's this website for Times Union that sort of debunked that myth. But it was a cool story anyway.
Yeah.
Goes to show you that the millionaire next door, might not dress in nice clothes.
Yeah, you never know. Looks can be deceiving, right? So, yeah.
Some people like to create or leave scholarships,
Yeah.
For other people. And so it reminded me of government money that you can get for college or university. And I had always heard about when you go to college, you have to fill out this form called the FAFSA. It's for federal grants and things. And one of the grants that you can get is called the Pell Grant. And so I looked up where did this come from? Well, it came from Senator Claiborne Pell from Rhode Island, who served from 1961 to 1996. He helped create the Basic Education Opportunity Grant Program, later renamed the Pell Grant Program. And my middle son is going to college now, and so I had to help him fill out that form.
Yeah.
And I don't think he has that grant, but working to pay for his own school, because when he was 10, I think, I told him he was going to have to pay for his own school. Wow. Because I'm still paying for my school,
Yeah.
Repaying the loans for going to law school. And I said, I can't save for you, and so you should be good at something.
Yeah.
And you can be a good student, or you can be a good baseball player, or you can be a good musician. Mm-hmm. Just find something over the next 8 years to be good at. And he was good at baseball.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And he did have a scholarship to play baseball, but that coach broke his promise and broke my son's heart, and he decided just to go to school.
Yeah.
So that's a story for another day. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about legacy. We'll talk about your legacy and some favorite things that you like to do. So stay tuned.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law Radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the 10 Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.